years from now.
Well, Chuck, you mentioned Bill Clinton. We have breaking news. The New York Times is reporting that Attorney General Loretta Lynch plans to announce that she will accept whatever recommendation career prosecutors and FBI Director James Comey make about whether to bring charges related to Hillary Clinton's private email server. She's removing herself. The paper says that her decision removes the possibility that a political appointee will overrule investigators in the case. This development comes after a lot of criticism around the Attorney General's meeting with former President Bill Clinton aboard her plane.
By the way,
at a Phoenix airport.
Can we just say, Mika, how irritated is Barack Obama by Bill Clinton? How irritated is Barack Obama by the existence of Bill Clinton and the lack of discipline, that the storm cloud that seems to follow Bill Clinton wherever he goes?
Did he think
it has to drive the president crazy?
Why do you think it's only Barack Obama that's annoyed with him? Why don't you think Hillary Clinton's a little annoyed with him?
Well, no, I'm sure Hillary Clinton's very annoyed with him. I'm just saying, Gene Robinson, the entire White House, there has been this rough relationship between Barack Obama and Bill Clinton for 8 years, and the two men do not understand each other. But when I see that split screen of Barack Obama's Attorney General and Bill Clinton, Bubba, you just can sense the president just rolls his eyes and can't believe what he's seeing.
I would guess that he probably did more than roll his eyes. I'll bet there were a few choice words.
I bet there were. I was being nice.
I have been wrong about this. I thought Bill Clinton would be relatively well behaved during this election cycle, and that he probably wouldn't step in it, since he stepped in it last time around several times. I thought he had learned from that. He hadn't learned quite as much as I had anticipated. And maybe this is the eruption, and he'll be better, going forward. But we'll see. We'll see.
So in light of this news that Loretta Lynch is going to accept the decision of the FBI, and she's not taking herself off the case necessarily, but she will accept the decision of the FBI, which is important when you put it in the context of past decisions. Remember when Attorney General Holder with Petraeus, the recommendation of the FBI was to pursue criminal charges, and he knocked it down to a misdemeanor. So they don't want any appearance of that. Here's the Attorney General defending her 30-minute conversation with former President Bill Clinton.
Our conversation was a great deal about his grandchildren. It was primarily social and about our travels. He mentioned the golf he played in Phoenix, and he mentioned travels he had to West Virginia. We talked about a former Attorney General, Janet Reno, for example, whom we both know. But there was no discussion of any matter pending before the department or any matter pending before any other body. There was no discussion of Benghazi, no discussion of the State Department emails by way of example.
Well, when I first heard that yesterday afternoon, I actually thought they were joking. I thought the people that told me was, I said, no way. It's just no way that's going to happen. And it happened. And I'm flabbergasted by it.
Bob Costa, let's go to you on this as well. Does this have any impact on what we're watching in the campaign? I mean, obviously, we're talking earlier that it just sort of supports this idea that there's a cloud of suspicion that Clintons play above the rules, that they think they have their own rules, and some poor judgment on both sides here, really.
You see the reaction on the conservative side of the aisle, pretty fierce to this encounter on the tarmac. There's a sense that after the Benghazi committee did not really unfold in the way some on the right had hoped, that maybe the investigation about Secretary Clinton's emails, this would become a central issue for Republicans. And I think that's just where Republicans are right now. They're trying to look for some kind of critique of Clinton that sticks. And for the moment, they think they've found a misstep in how this has been handled.
Yeah, well, we've got Andrea Mitchell with us. So Chuck Todd and Andrea Mitchell, I'll have you guys take off with this. But Chuck first. Bill and Hillary Clinton both have law degrees. I mean, there's no way they don't completely understand how completely inappropriate a meeting like that is. Is there? I mean, could they just be hanging out with the Attorney General because they want to get to know her? What am I missing here?
Can you picture Bill Clinton just sort of sauntering over. He's sitting on the tarmac. Oh, look, the Attorney General's there. Let me go say hi. I mean, you can sort of see how this happens, and then you're her. You look up, and you're like, what are you supposed to do? Kick a former president off your plane? I mean,
no. Chuck,
look,
I'm sorry. They're in the middle of an investigation, a criminal investigation that could change the course of American history. Yes, the president doesn't wait to schmooze with the Attorney General, who's going to decide whether his wife is indicted or not.
No, I hear you. But what I'm saying is, can you picture how that happens and how people make a human error here? Yes.
Not in this case.
You can. Well,
as a lawyer and a former public official, no. Not even close. Can you let me turn it back to you? I'm not being defined here. Can you?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, you can picture how this happened. I'm not saying she did what she had to do this morning. I thought, frankly, they were going to have to go to special counsel, have to say, no, I'm going to hand it over. But it was clear to me she had to hand this over to a third party. By the way, this was a line of questioning I did with her 10 days ago on Meet the Press, because I never understood if she wants to stay on as Attorney General. I think she has no choice but to find a way not to be the person to make this decision about prosecuting her. In some ways, this encounter now forces her hand in a way I don't know why she didn't let her hand be forced before, which was get this off of her plate, let this be in a career. But I'm just saying, to assume we live in a world where everybody is guilty until proven innocent in politics. It's too bad we live in this world. Everybody has earned this, whether we like it or not. But let's be realistic. It's very possible how this could happen by happenstance.
She's gotten so many passes on this email thing.
Andrew Mitchell, we're in the middle of a hot and heavy investigation. I'm sorry. I mean, you've been in Washington a long time. I know Chuck has. I have too. I can't imagine this happening under any scenario that does not involve Bill Clinton. Well, it's such bad judgment.
But it shows bad judgment on both of their parts, because as casual an encounter as they first described, just you have to understand what the overall context is. And I know what Chuck is saying, because we all know Bill Clinton, and we all know you're at a private airstrip. You've got two Secret Service details. They talk to each other. He sees the motorcade and says, "Oh, who's there?" You know, it's the Attorney General. That said, let me just tell you what our reporting is today from the Justice Department, that she is going to take this highly unusual step in Aspen today of making a speech and talking now about what she's going to do in the middle of an investigation. They never even confirm what's happening in an investigation. You know that. So she's going to have to make this announcement today in Aspen, a previously scheduled appearance, obviously. And it's what she should have done yesterday. Well, what they should have done is not have the meeting. But what they're basically going to announce is what they had been discussing, which is that she is not going to overrule the career prosecutors and the FBI. In other words, she's not giving up her power, but basically she's going to accept their recommendation, whatever it is, and take herself out of that decision-making part.
Because of this meeting.
Hey, Jean. Because of this meeting. They were already discussing whether that was the right way to go, apparently, but had not announced it yet because the investigation, it was premature.
Hey, Jean,
as best we know, the FBI has yet to interview Hillary Clinton. Now, it's possible that she was interviewed without our knowing it. They've told us that they will tell us after the fact. But that's the other piece of it. They still haven't interviewed Hillary Clinton, as far as we know.
Donnie.
I'm sorry. Hey, Jean, it's Donnie. We like to talk about this stuff and save Hillary being indicted. Am I correct in assuming that the average voter cares about what we were talking about 5 minutes ago, as far as basically being safe from terrorist attacks and protecting my job? And that what is baked in is that the Clintons and Hillary Clinton is untrustworthy, and she's a politician, she'll do whatever it takes. And Donald Trump, whether it's Trump University or anything else, will do whatever it takes. And all I care about is me and not them. And whoever pushes those two buttons better wins. And that this stuff is just all noise.
But Donnie, I think character and trust matter, and I think it is hurting her. And I think it's hurting Donald Trump. his business practices, although it hasn't been reported as aggressively as some of the other stuff.
I guess that's my point. It's baked in with both, and who's going to help me better?
Gene Robinson.
You know, I think that's basically the most important thing to voters. But I think Andrea has a point. I mean, when I just talk to ordinary folks, I hear a lot about these personalities. I hear a lot about Hillary Clinton and whether or not she's trustworthy. I hear a lot about Donald Trump and whether or not he's crazy, or dictatorial or whatever. And so these are unusual personalities who are running to be president. And so while those pocketbook issues, those what does it mean for me issues, are paramount, I think these other issues are important. This is an unusual election between unusual people. You know, with Bill Clinton on the side. I mean, this doesn't happen.
Okay, so and let's just bring it back to what we're talking about. And then, Richard, you can grab it. So Loretta Lynch has now kind of removed herself from having power over a case that is really important to the future of possibly of our country, because of a meeting that, Chuck Todd, you characterized this as, how could she say no? You know, that he just sauntered in. Can you understand how this would happen? Richard Haas, I don't understand how this happened. I mean, there's no way that she knew. She didn't know that this meeting would completely expose her.
I don't know how the staff
actually make her impossible to be a part of it anymore.
Well, it puts her in an untenable position. But let's connect the two parts of this conversation. The framing for this election is, I think, this pushback against globalization, whether it's immigration, workers, trade, what have you. And all things being equal, that probably helps Donald Trump more than Hillary Clinton, because he represents the outsider and she's more of a traditionalist. And what we've seen the last few weeks is who you can, though, against that backdrop, make this a referendum on. Is it a referendum on Donald Trump's character, temperament, or is it a referendum on Hillary Clinton? And what's interesting about the last 24 hours and this whole thing with the Attorney General, it pushes the focus back to Hillary Clinton and takes it off Donald Trump. And that to me is in some ways a question of how this plays out over the next 3 or 4 months.
What happened? What happened in the meeting? I mean, if no one found out about this meeting, would she not have done this? Did something happen in the meeting that made her feel she has to remove herself from power over this case?
Chuck.
So it was discovered, and because it's out now.
You could see Clinton being 70-year-old Bill Clinton, I don't care, doing it. You can't understand how she would allow it to happen. That's the difference.
Right, but how do you stop a former president from coming on your plate? This is my question. I mean, maybe you just do it.
You do it staff to staff. You do it staff to staff, which I guess I was going to say, and to Chuck, and I'll say to you, this is the responsibility of the principals, of course, primarily, but it's also the responsibility of able staff members to say, Mr. President, I'm sorry, but we just can't have a private meeting with you. Well, your wife is under investigation, and the future of America rests on it. I think it really does.
And we're protecting you.
America's future does rest on what happens in this case. And Chuck, I guess my focus also, and it was yesterday too, all around here, was on the staff. What was the staff thinking?
What was the Attorney General thinking?
Well, I know, but the staff as well.
I'd like to know who's staffing Bill Clinton. You know, because look, it's my understanding it's not a very senior person that always travels with him, that a lot of his more senior people that are looking out for him are sitting in New York. You do wonder if he has a senior aide traveling with him, if he does say, whoa, who thinks about, hey, how's this going to look? Be careful. I wouldn't do that. I think that's probably a fair critique. And if you're Robbie Mook this morning, you're probably asking yourself, who the hell is traveling with Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who is minding that store?
Not a happy man this morning.
On that front.
And you know, Willie, like you said, the AG has the ability to soften the blow.
Yeah.
They did it for General Petraeus, and certainly that's something that the Clintons would hope that Loretta Lynch would do for her, that if Comey came back with too hot of a decision, they could knock it down. In a sense, Bill Clinton's move now has placed her in greater legal jeopardy. If you believe that Comey's a straight shooter and there's now no safety valve between Comey and his decision.
And that's the irony. Bill Clinton has always been able to schmooze somebody into getting what he wants.
That's
in this case,
exactly
in
what
this
he must
case,
have
it
thought.
backfired on him. Again, we don't know what happened in those 30 minutes of conversation, but now Loretta Lynch is not there. If they thought in some way that was an advantage for them to have her there, and maybe she would knock charges down or ignore charges
I think he
in
just
some
wanted
way,
to hang out with her and talk about
Not now.
grandkids because, you know, I'm sure he just thought it'd be cool to meet her.
Yeah. Well,
There's a different, you know,
Did not play.
we've always
did not
talked
play
about,
very well.
people.
obviously, what an asset Bill Clinton would have been. And there's a difference, I'm going to say something that sounds ageist, between a 46-year-old presidential and a
Don't be
70-year-old
an
ex-presidential.
No, let's not.
No. Who's kind of just,
It's
I don't
just
give a
not.
crap, I can do what I want. And I actually think it went down the way Chuck said. He was, oh, wow, she's here? Yeah, why not? Why can't I do it? So I think the fault lies on Lynch's side. Clinton, you can almost expect that behavior from him.
Andrea, final word?
Just the final word is, guess who's interviewing Loretta Lynch at Aspen today?
Who's that?
Jonathan Capehart.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that should be interesting. Andrea Mitchell, thank you so much. And Richard.